Here's your General Hospital spoiler sneak peek at some of the action that will take place in Port Charles the week of December 1st to 5, 2025. Be sure to tune in to ABC each weekday to see how it all plays out. The Quartermaines celebrate Thanksgiving. Willow walks down the aisle. Trina is in for a shock. Isaiah makes a sacrifice. Nathan tracks down a suspect. Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Willow makes a big decision. Laura gets a happy surprise. Michael receives a tempting offer. Emma is determined. Brooklyn backs up. Gio Curtis makes a revelation. Nina is distressed. Emma and Gio make their move. Lulu delivers some tough love. Laura opens up. Jason offers wise counsel. Britt drowns her sorrows. Sidwell wields his power. Jordan offers reassurance. Molly is stung. Sunny is backed into a corner. Britt leans on Jason. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. General Hospital spoilers update for Monday, December 1st reveals that Drew Kane will make an ominous promise while Harrison Chase carries out a doomed plan. Trina Robinson will also get some stunning news, so there'll be a lot happening in Port Charles. At the Quartermaine mansion, Brooklyn Quartermaine will have a bad feeling about the turkey chase plans to put on the table. It turns out Brooklyn has good reasons to worry, since Outback seems poised to ruin the meal. While the Quartermaines presumably order pizza as usual, Marshall Ashford will make it home for Thanksgiving. That'll bring some awkwardness when he starts asking about Portia Robinson. Trina Robinson will offer updates on Portia having to work, but it seems like she's mostly avoiding Curtis and all the drama surrounding their impending divorce. Since Portia is covering for Terry Randolph at GH, she'll be surprised when she sees Isaiah Gannon there. It looks like Isaiah will sacrifice his own time off so someone else can celebrate the holiday, so he'll offer up an explanation. Back with Trina, she'll get some info that leaves her reeling. Since Trina doesn't know about Portia's pregnancy yet, that could be the shocker that's coming up. Stella Henry will also hint about something being all the revenge someone needs, so maybe she'll try to shake off her latest Drew outburst and focus on her family. Living well may be the best revenge as far as Stella is concerned. As for Curtis, he'll have a busy day since he'll squeeze in some close moments with Jordan Ashford and most likely face Nathan West's Drew-related questions too. Other General Hospital spoilers say Giovanni Gio Palmieri will answer the Quartermaine mansion door when someone comes knocking. Could it be Lois Cerullo or someone else who makes a surprise visit? At Drew's house, he'll look forward to tying the knot with Willow Tate. Although Drew will insist their wedding day is going to be perfect, that's an ominous promise, considering how soaps operate. Willow will seem like she's getting nervous about the whole thing, so Nina Reeves will sense her daughter's anxiety. Since Nina won't want Willow to have any regrets, she'll suggest they could leave before the ceremony kicks off. General Hospital spoilers say Willow will at least stick around long enough for the nuptials to begin, but will she actually say, "I do," or call it off in the end? General Hospital spoilers reveal that Michael Corinthos and Elizabeth Baldwin's chemistry recently got social media's attention. Could Liz and Michael become a controversial pairing that'd enrage Carly Spencer? Although Michael and Elizabeth might seem like an odd match, fans couldn't help but notice the chemistry between them in the November 25th episode. Liz and this version of Michael definitely have a nice vibe in their scenes together that's pleasant to watch. Elizabeth defended Willow Tate a bit in those scenes, but she was also compassionate over what Michael went through at the clinic in Germany. Michael was able to open up to Liz and got some sympathy from her as a result. On social media, many viewers have been commenting on the chemistry and considering the possibility that Michael could eventually be paired up with Liz. Some fans insist the show would never go there, but they're enjoying the chemistry between Elizabeth and Michael anyway. Other GH watchers have been rooting for at least a hot Michael and Liz fling, especially since Carly would throw a fit. Carly manages to keep the peace with Elizabeth these days, but they've got a rocky history that could come into play if Michael ever gets romantically involved with Liz. You can bet Carly wouldn't be on board at all. There's also a bit of an age gap between Elizabeth and Michael, but who cares when Willow is paired up with Drew Kane? It doesn't really matter as long as Michael and Liz have chemistry, which they indeed do if you ask plenty of social media users. Michael has been getting to know Jacinda Bracken, who's pretending to be his girlfriend as part of his alibi. However, Jacinda dropped some hints about it, not seeming like pretend, and seemingly gave Michael an opening to make this a real relationship. Michael didn't take the bait, so what if he's not quite on the same page as Jacinda? Jacinda may be falling hard, but Michael's feelings may not be as deep. There's room for Michael to explore a romance with someone else once this whole alibi situation falls apart. Could you ever get behind a Michael and Elizabeth pairing, or would that be too weird for you? Are there any other couples you're rooting for on Canvas? General Hospital spoilers say some romantic shakeups are still to come in Port Charles, so we'll pass along updates on any love life news and fresh matches. General Hospital's healthiest marriage might be going through a crisis thanks to one pesky ex whom Chase can't get out of his mind. Chase is determined to prove that Willow didn't shoot Drew. But what will this new obsession do to his marriage to Brooke Lynn? If there's anything that Harrison Chase likes to do, it's save people. That is probably why his chosen profession is police officer. Chase is just the eternal good guy who is always there for his wife and the people he cares about. However, his need to save Willow from her own self might cause more than just a few problems. So why is Chase doing this? I think it's the savior complex kicking in, Swickard told Soap Opera Digest. Chase has really seen firsthand what Willow has been through. He's seen Dawn of Day, the sex cult she was indoctrinated into, whose deceased leader, Shiloh, impregnated her. He's seen some of the stuff she's gone through with Drew, and he's just kind of made up his mind that she's a good person. Michael has tried to get Chase to see that Willow has indeed changed, but Chase seems to think that Drew is responsible for all of Willow's actions over the last year. Brooke Lynn has certainly noticed that Chase has taken an interest in his ex-wife's case that goes beyond the professional, but Swickard does not think that Chase is falling for Willow again. In fact, he thinks his character is completely dedicated to Brooke Lynn. As Josh, as an outsider looking in, I would bet on their marriage any day, the marriage between Chase and Brooke Lynn, Swickard said. They've been through so much, and they've had to flesh out so much that their communication is really solid. I don't think anything will rock the boat. But you know, this is a soap opera, and rocking the boat is sometimes fun. Even if Chase doesn't fall for Willow again, it doesn't mean that Willow won't fall for Chase after she is finally done with Drew for good. After all, Willow always needs a hero and latches on to anyone who wants to save her. General Hospital spoilers hint that Carly Spencer may be arrested for treason, so her Jack Brennan revenge plot could backfire. Will Carly ultimately regret deceiving Brennan and scheming to destroy him? Instead of confronting Brennan right off the bat, Carly took a very different approach when she got updates on Jocelyn Jack's WSB status. Many GH viewers expected Carly to rip into Brennan immediately, but she chose a long-game payback plan. Now Carly is going to great lengths to trick Brennan into thinking their relationship is moving forward. Carly also made Valentine Cassadine a team player without Brennan's knowledge, so she's really pulling out all the stops for vengeance. However, Carly is putting a lot on the line when it comes to the setup. Valentine has warned Carly about the risks, but Carly is committed to this vengeful path and is willing to take whatever gamble she needs to take. In an interview with So.D., Chris McKenna talked about the complicated mess that's developed between the characters. Although Carly was right in feeling betrayed by Brennan, McKenna pointed out that Carly is just as culpable at this point. But now, she's committing treason, McKenna insisted. I mean, he lied, but she's committing acts against the nation. So I think that now, Jack at least has an argument from this angle, which is, I did something bad, but not treason. McKenna added that Carly is swimming in deep waters when it comes to this whole situation with Brennan. Considering McKenna's comments, could Carly be held accountable for the treason she's committing? S. Vaughn just learned the hard way what happens when you get on Brennan's bad side. Carly could learn that too once Brennan realized he's been duped and most likely retaliates. There's a chance Carly will get arrested eventually and regret getting so obsessed with revenge. Of course, Carly could wiggle out of treason trouble in the end, but it's easy to imagine this plot not turning out as well as she might have hoped. General Hospital spoilers say Carly's aunt will continue to deceive Brennan for now, so that could lead to alarming news when all this blows up down the road. General Hospital star Donald Turner is celebrating 10 years as leading man Curtis Ashford. A longtime viewer of GH, his role in Port Charles is especially meaningful to him. Turner, a longtime fan of GH, was thrilled that he screen-tested opposite Finola Hughes, a Daytime Emmy winner for her role as Anna Devane. "I almost melted," Turner told TV Insider. He recalled watching Hughes on GH and how he loved to listen to the way in which Hughes spoke. Even after he landed the role of Curtis, Turner still needed time to process the enormity of the opportunity. After leaving the lot on his second day, he had to pull over and take in what was before him. He was realizing that his life was changing all for the better. He likens being hired by GH as if he were a fan of the LA Dodgers baseball team, and he was being hired by that very team to play ball with them. While it was flattering that the role of Curtis was created for him, he shared that it took some time for the show to find out where his character was going. Still, he believed that the show was invested in him and his character, crediting showrunner Frank Valentini and the GH writers for their vision. Like everyone at GH, Turner laments the passing of the show's iconic actor, the late Tristan Rogers, who played Robert Scorpio on and off the show since 1980. "We traveled a lot together," Turner says. "I heard a lot of his wonderful stories, and I was all ears. I loved it." The actor says that he fully embraced the story of Curtis being revealed as Trina's father. "Nice and soap," he raved. Currently, Curtis appears to be torn between his pregnant wife, Portia, and his ex, Jordan. "I like where it's going," he has said. Above all else, Turner says he's immensely grateful for the life he's had and continues to have in Port Charles. He appreciates the stability, longevity, and the feeling of respect and being heard he has at the ABC soap opera. "I'm grateful beyond words," he says. General Hospital spoilers hint that Emma Scorpio Drake and Giovanni Gio Palmieri may go second lab hunting. Will Gio and Emma follow a trail to Professor Henry Hank Dalton's secret location? Before Dalton met a grim fate at Jen Sidwell's hands, he got drunk and spilled some big news to Jocelyn Jacks. Jocelyn found out Dalton indeed did animal testing, but he kept that work separate from PCU at another lab entirely. That led to Jocelyn telling Emma that she'd been right all along about Dalton's animal experiments. Both Emma and Gio got updates on this secret second lab, so they may make it their mission to find it. Although Gio and Emma's previous plan went awry thanks to the teens' break-in and Rocco Falconeri's arrest, their desire to save the animals hasn't changed. It'll be risky, but Emma and Gio may move forward with an attempt to locate Dalton's second lab and come to the animals' rescue. During the week of December 15th, Emma will show some fierce signs of determination. Since GH spoilers say Emma won't give up, that could mean she's on the verge of tracking down the second lab with Gio's help. Other spoilers point to Gio and Emma making a bold move together, so they may take steps to figure out where Dalton might have been keeping those animals. Of course, Emma and Gio will want to keep Rocco, Charlotte Cassadine, and Danny Morgan as far away from all this as possible. The last thing anyone needs is another teen-related legal crisis causing more drama. Nevertheless, this animal rescue plot is obviously something that Emma is quite passionate about. Gio vowed to help Emma, and May refused to bail on that promise, even after all the conflict with Dante Falconeri. With Dalton out of the picture, maybe Emma and Gio could sneak in his office to dig for clues about this other lab location. Dalton wasn't the brightest guy and may have been sloppy enough to leave behind a hint that could help connect the dots. It may take some work for Gio and Emma to nail down the secret address of this other secret lab, but they'll stick together and could make some shocking discoveries eventually. General Hospital spoilers suggest Emma and Gio could land in grave danger if they find out too much about Cesar Faison's final project, so stay tuned. Has there ever been a young soap heroine more unlucky in love than General Hospital's Jocelyn Jacks? No matter how hard she tries, she just can't seem to find a romance that lasts. Whether tragedy strikes or her own decision-making gets in the way, Jocelyn hasn't had much love luck. Jocelyn's latest romance with S. Vaughn looks like it's just about dead, 'cause Vaughn could be dead, or at least in another land far, far away. As soon as Jack learned that Vaughn and Joss were still seeing one another, he had some WSB goons haul him off to parts unknown. That seemed to signal the end of another one of Jocelyn's romances, one that was more underdeveloped than the last, and that is saying a lot. Jocelyn's last romance ended a year ago when Cyrus Renaud stabbed Dex Heller before injecting digitalis into his IV, killing him. We didn't know much about Dex, but at least we knew his full name. We also knew he had a troubled childhood, was in the service, and liked college football, but that was about it. Jocelyn even seemed to love Dex, but with Vaughn, it only seemed to be about sex. We almost never even saw him in scenes, unless he was with Jocelyn. There was nothing to him and nothing to their relationship, which appears to be the theme for Jocelyn's adult romances. At least Jocelyn's teenage love stories had a little more substance, but no more luck. Joss's first love, Oscar Nero, died from brain cancer while they were still in high school. She turned to her best friend, Cameron, for comfort after Oscar died, and a real love story developed. However, when Esme Prince decided to record Joss and Cam's first time having sex and blast it all over the internet, tension developed, and they could never quite get it together again. That left Jocelyn vulnerable to falling for Dex, so she cheated on Cameron and ruined the only truly promising relationship she's ever had. General Hospital spoilers hint that a paternity results tampering twist could be brewing. Is that how Drew Kane will get his revenge on Curtis Ashford in the end? Portia Robinson is trying to keep a lid on her pregnancy for the time being, but it's already leaked to a few people, including Curtis. Of course, Curtis doesn't know about Portia hitting the sheets with Isaiah Gannon, so he hasn't even considered the possibility that there could be another father candidate out there. However, Portia may not be able to keep that news quiet for much longer. If Portia is forced to spill where she really was the night of Drew's shooting, it will come out that she was in Isaiah's bed. Regardless, Portia will eventually need to have a paternity test done. That could set the stage for some trouble if Drew gets updates on the situation and perhaps uses it to make Curtis suffer. In GH's November 26th episode, Drew acknowledged that although he believes Curtis shot him, he wants Michael Corinthos to land in prison for it. As for Curtis, Drew hinted about finding another way to make him pay. Curtis is already excited about the idea of being a dad again, especially since he can be there from the very beginning. Although Curtis adores Trina Robinson, he missed out on her childhood and all the milestones that come with raising a kid. Curtis expects things to be different this time around, so it'll be a crushing blow if the DNA results don't turn out in his favor. Drew might decide to make certain of that and rob Curtis of his child as a punishment. That definitely sounds like something Drew would do as a twisted revenge strategy. Drew might order some paternity test results manipulation and ensure this baby appears to belong to Isaiah, even if Curtis is the true bio-dad. General Hospital spoilers say Drew will indeed go after vengeance and try to make Curtis miserable, so don't miss any paternity tricks that might be looming on the ABC soap. Supporting other characters is fine, but too many A-list soapmen are treading water right now. Being on screen doesn't equal story. I'm looking at you, Jason Morgan. The General Hospital anti-hero can always be counted on to save his son or hide a body, but he hasn't driven major story for a while. And there's been no romance since he returned almost 2 years ago. Jason, why would you have a key fob to Dalton's lab? He's putting together the pieces of her story at the Five Poppies, but she's hedging as usual. Jason, I know you're in trouble and I want to help, but I can't when you keep me in the dark. Britt, I have to know you are worth me risking my life. Jason, you can trust me. Britt, if I tell you the truth, you'll stick around no matter what. Brrring. It's Sunny calling, saying Jason has to retrieve Dalton's body from Laura's trunk. Britt kicked him out. It's hard to see them as a couple when Britt runs so hot and cold and gets mad because he has a job. If Jason was a doctor on call, would she be such a bitch when he had to leave to remove a gallbladder? I think not. Jason's most memorable moments since his return to GH have involved his escape from Sidwell's compound with Anna, covering for Michael as the father of Sasha's baby, standing by his son Danny, and the amazing scenes surrounding his mother Monica's death. That's not nothing, but those stories mostly supported other characters. And the closest Jason has come to a liaison involved dangling his legs in the Metro Court pool with ex-flame Elizabeth and a clandestine kiss with Anna in prison. He needs a Jason-centric tale. Something like going to find his missing son Jake with Elizabeth, or infiltrating Sidwell's organization, or bringing down nasty WSB honcho Jack Brennan. Sonny was spinning his wheels too, but they revved him up by making him Laura's first call after she found Dalton in her trunk. Now the mayor and the mobster share a deadly secret, and it's divine. Sonny: no body, no crime. Act surprised when you hear Dalton has disappeared. It's not surprising Laura called Sonny instead of the cops, since we watched her murder David Hamilton as a teenager. Laura's panic during the ordeal was harder to buy after all those years running from the mob with Luke, but I digress. Nick on The Young and the Restless is another one who hasn't seen any real action for over 2 years. Not since Sally dumped him for Adam. His most recent stories include searching for Sharon when she went missing, searching for Mariah when she went missing, and searching for Noah when he went missing. You see the problem? He's got kids we never see and does little more at the office than have the occasional fight with Victor or Adam. That gives short shrift to the scion of Genoa City's most powerful family. It doesn't make sense for Y&R to give front-burner stories to recast versions of Kane Ashby and Matt Clark when Nick and fellow OGs like Adam and Devin sit languishing. Nick: did either one of you even know that Mitch isn't his real name? His name's Matt Clark. This guy has terrorized me and my family since high school. We thought he was dead, but now he's back to finish what he started. Another back from the dead villain bringing trouble to Nick and Sharon so soon after Cameron returned from the grave feels lazy. Nick needs a serious love interest, at least one kid on screen, and a real job at Newman Enterprises. I'd love to see him boss Adam around. A girl can dream. Bold and Beautiful has resurrected Bill Spencer by reuniting him with Katie, but that rascal needs more. He should plan a big wedding to Katie that she doesn't want, fight about Ridge and Brooke's place in their lives, clash with Liam at work, stick his nose into Will's business, etc. Deacon is another one getting new life. He was never believable with Psycho Sheila. Their union diminished him. Deacon's hatred of Sheila's equally psychotic granddaughter Luna is a good step towards finishing them. Deacon: come on, Luna was nuts. I'm not going to feel bad for the monster who killed my friends. Karma's a bitch, and it finally caught up Beatty Luna. His flirtation with Taylor will upend a lot of people. Good. Now, can Ridge please have a story? Something besides following Brooke to Italy and calling her his destiny? Ridge: we've got to pivot away from this whole Luna thing. Exactly. Days of Our Lives is so close to making EJ a formidable leading man with his dangerous Demera edge and funny sense of humor. He was the straw that stirred the drink when he ran into Sammy's other ex-husbands, Rafe and Lucas, at the Brady pub. EJ: oh God, I'm surrounded. They dished Sammy's engagement to Dante Vitale, whose family is in the mob, but Rafe insisted he did a background check. Rafe: the guy's clean, I looked. EJ: look harder. He still cares. Post-meeting, EJ surprised his former father-in-law Roman by thanking him for putting up with him. Roman responded that EJ is the father of his grandkids, and he always wants to be civil. Enter EJ's estranged son Johnny, with new baby Trey, who EJ hadn't officially met, and the guy melted. It's hard to reconcile that misty grandpa with the villain who ordered Gwen to keep Leo out of the lab, or Tony and Kristen won't be the only ones missing. But throw in a good love interest, and they're on the right track. Which brings us to Beyond the Gates. It's a little early to call out the new soap for mistreating its men, but Bill Hamilton had better go scorched earth on Haley when it comes out that she's a big home wrecker, poisoning him for his money. Dante is one snapped nerve away from realizing Gio isn't his burden. He's his second chance. Dante has survived mob wars, WSB conditioning, Cassidy nonsense, and more falconery Quartermain holiday dinners on General Hospital than any man should have to endure. Yet nothing rattles him quite like Gio. And honestly, it's funny. Port Charles is knee-deep in break-ins, lab drama, and teenagers who think rules are seasonal suggestions. And Dante is out here acting like Gio keyed his squad car and then moonwalked away from the scene. The Thanksgiving is supposed to bring families together, but in Dante's case, it may be the perfect time for him to sit down, breathe into a paper bag, and be grateful the kid still speaks to him. Dante has that cop switch, the one that flips on the second he hears the name Rocco. You can almost see the veins in his forehead pulsating. Gio knows it too. He barely made it through the beach party fallout before Dante unloaded on him like he'd been saving that speech for his next training seminar. And that was before the surprise, "You're his biological father" bomb dropped. The trouble is, Gio didn't ask for any of this. Not the truth, not the timing, not the years Brooklyn and Lois kept tucked away like a badly folded secret. Thus, when Gio looks at Dante, he doesn't see a doting dad. He sees a dude who yells first and apologizes. Sometime later, maybe. You can't blame the kid for treading cautiously. Still, underneath this bickering and bruised feelings, there's something almost broken in about the way these two circle each other. Like they both know this could work if Dante would just quit policing Gio's soul like it's precinct property. The kid wants space. Dante wants order. Somewhere in there is a middle ground they haven't quite tripped over yet. For starters, Gio hasn't completely written him off. That alone deserves a parade. A lesser teenager would have blocked Dante, moved across town, and started telling people his father was a violinist who travels. Gio still shows up. He still tries. Second, Gio doesn't retaliate. Dante storms, Gio absorbs. The kid has every reason to throw back half the things Dante's thrown at him, but he doesn't. That restraint? Dante should send him a fruit basket. And third, despite everything, Gio still wants a sliver of connection. Not the Hallmark version, not the Falconeri family therapy version, just something real. And if Dante ever stops bracing for disaster long enough to see it, he'll realize the truth. Gio isn't the problem. Gio is the bridge. Stella may have just put herself back on Drew's hit list and the PCPD's suspect list. As the PCPD were to figure out once and for all who shot Drew, the threat may not be over for the congressman after the November 26, 2025 episode of General Hospital. Now that Rocco is out of juvie, Dante decided to get back to the PCPD's most important case: who shot Drew? With Chase far too preoccupied with trying to exonerate Willow, Dante asked Nathan to take a look at the suspects. Nathan admitted that Michael seemed like the most likely suspect, but that they should take another look at the least talked about person on the board: Curtis. But Curtis had more important things to deal with when Stella met him for dinner, unbeknownst to them both that Drew and Martin would be at the same restaurant. Stella, being the strong, capable woman she is, decided to confront the congressman about what he did to her. Of course, Drew knows how to goad anybody, and the more snipes he took at Stella, the more she went off on him in the middle of the restaurant. Before Curtis could pull her away, she admitted to Drew that she wouldn't be surprised if someone tried to shoot him again. Could Stella's suggestion foreshadow what's to come for Drew? He's supposed to marry Willow on Thanksgiving, but with the amount of enemies he's been staring down in Port Charles, there are still plenty of people who want him gone. For good, this time. What did you think of Stella confronting Drew? Let us know in the comments section. Laura spent her week putting out fires no one else could manage, and she's earned a day of peace. There's something poetic, and a little unfair, about the way Thanksgiving always sneaks up right when Port Charles is in full catastrophe mode. And this year, nobody felt the weight of that timing more than General Hospital's Laura. The woman barely wrapped up an election that aged her 10 years in 3 weeks, only to cap it off by finding a corpse in the trunk of her car on Route 23. You try keeping a smile on your face after that. If anyone's earned the right to hoard a plate or two of pie without sharing, it's Laura. It started with the election, and honestly, the victory glow didn't even get 5 minutes to settle before Ezra kicked down the figurative door and accused her of stealing it. Laura handled it the way she always does: calm voice, tight jaw, the kind of restraint that should qualify her for sainthood at this point. Then came the call every parent dreads: new information about the Rocco situation, the Professor Dalton mess, the pressure closing in on their family from every direction. Laura absorbed it all like she always does, the steady center holding the rest of the room together. And then, because the universe apparently likes to pile on, she popped her trunk for a roadside flare after getting a flat tire and came face to face with Dalton's dead body, already turning pale. She froze. Who wouldn't? But she still pulled herself together enough to make the call she needed to make. That's Laura. Heart hammering, knees shaking, still moving. For starters, a kitchen where no one asks her a single political question. Let the woman sit down without a constituent or a Cassadine barging through the door. Second, someone needs to hand her her own pie. Not a slice. The whole thing. Pumpkin, pecan, apple, blueberry, whatever's on deck. She's earned the right to tuck it under her arm and walk away. And third, a day when she doesn't have to be the grown-up in the room. No bodies, no last-minute confessions. No grandstanding opponents pounding on her desk. No Drew making unreasonable demands. Just a quiet house, a warm blanket, and Kevin back from Dublin for once. It's not much. But after the week she's had, it's a start. Thanksgiving chaos hits Port Charles as the Quartermaines tempt disaster. Willow and Drew revisit the altar, and Isaiah makes a sacrifice. The General Hospital spoilers for Monday, December 1st focus on the Thanksgiving holiday. The Quartermaines celebrate the only way they know how, and that's doing whatever it takes to avoid eating pizza. Meanwhile, Drew and Willow take another stab at a wedding. Will they actually complete the ceremony this time? Plus, Trina is in for a shock. Thanksgiving for the rest of the world was last week. It's actually happening this week on GH, so get ready for a Quartermaine gathering. Chase may be a little delusional. Not only does he keep coming up with excuses for Willow, but he thinks he can roast a turkey for the Qs and have it not turn into a disaster. In fact, he's determined to avoid the inevitable pizza fest that this holiday usually turns into. Can he do it? We don't know why Willow said she would try to marry Drew again. This could be a legal tactic, or she may actually still love him. Heck, it could be both reasons. Drew wants to marry the person he thinks is the love of his life. So look for Willow to walk down the aisle, and she will do so with her mother in attendance. Nina and Willow have, sort of, made amends. They repaired their relationship enough for Willow to want Nina to be there for the big day. Just because Willow is walking down the aisle, it doesn't mean Drew and Willow will seal the deal and get married. However, there is no way Drew will let this wedding have the same ending as the last time. After all, he always gets what he wants, or so he says. Nathan and Dante recently took a closer look at the persons of interest in the Who Shot Drew case. For the duo, Michael and Carly checked all the boxes and could potentially have shot Congressman Cutthroat. However, Dante and Nathan also thought it would be worthwhile to take a closer look at Curtis. Is that what happens when the spoilers hint that Nathan tracks down a suspect? Does Nathan want to talk to Curtis? That is, if Nathan is working the Drew investigation and not a different case altogether. Look for Isaiah to make a sacrifice, most likely in the name of being there for Portia. He is all about her these days. Would this be about his being her alibi for the night of Drew's shooting, or is it about something less explosive? Finally, Trina is in for a shock. There are many things that could shock Trina at this point, especially if this teaser concerns her parents. She could find out that her mom is pregnant. That's low on the shock scale, but it would still be a startling development. Much higher on the scale is if she finds out that her mom has no idea who the baby daddy is. Finding out about Isaiah would stop her in her tracks. Seeing Jordan and Curtis together would do it too. Something else that would freak her out is if somebody found out that she and Kai were at Drew's the night of the shooting. The possibilities are practically endless. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Outback will ruin the Quartermaine Thanksgiving feast, so this turkey thief will force the family to eat pizza instead. A newly released photo for the week of December 5 proves Outback will stir up holiday trouble. So let's discuss the pup's sneaky move. In GH's November 26th episode, Harrison Chase convinced Brooklyn Quartermaine that turkey should be the star of the upcoming Thanksgiving meal. Brooklyn warned Chase that it had been 30 years since anyone had been able to get a turkey on the Quartermaine table, but he was adamant about pulling it off. Now Chase and Brooklyn are going to cook an impressive turkey that'll indeed land on the table in time for dinner. The problem is that it won't stay there very long. Outback will no doubt smell all the wonderful goodness wafting through the house and follow the trail. It won't be long until Outback is looking at that turkey like it's meant for her alone. Once everyone comes along to enjoy the turkey that Chase and Brooklyn have prepared, it'll presumably be on the floor next to Outback. It looks like Outback will feast her little heart out and have the happiest Thanksgiving a dog could have. That's good news for Outback, but it'll no doubt cause some frustration for Chase. Although Chase was really looking forward to breaking the Quartermaine turkey curse, it's not going to happen this year. Brooklyn may take it as a sign that they never should have tempted fate in the first place, since the Quartermaines always end up having pizza at their Thanksgiving gathering. Of course, with a face that adorable, no one can stay mad at Outback. Even Chase may have to laugh the whole thing off in the end. It's always fun to see how exactly the Quartermaine clan's Thanksgiving gathering will get derailed. Now that we know Outback's going to be the source of the Q mayhem, that gives us all another reason to tune in and watch chaotic cuteness. General Hospital spoilers suggest Outback the turkey thief will force some updates to the celebration, so a giant pizza delivery should be on the way. General Hospital spoilers hint that Drew Kane could face a second shooting shocker. Did Stella Henry just predict another crime? In the November 26th episode, Stella couldn't resist tearing into Drew right there in the Port Charles grill. That led to Stella lashing out over Drew being a snake who destroys everything he touches. Although Stella didn't believe Willow Tate had it in her to pull the trigger, she suggested Willow was in her current mess because half the town was outraged with Drew. You know, a smarter man would have changed his ways after something like that. But you are just as despicable as ever, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone else took a shot at your ass, Stella said before making it clear that he'd deserve it. Of course, a statement like that often spells trouble on soaps. If Stella wouldn't be surprised if that happened, then maybe GH fans shouldn't be surprised either if it actually plays out. It's interesting that Stella hinted someone else might take a shot at Drew. If that's the case, then the second shooter may be someone totally different than the first person who came after him. GH writers could complicate the mystery in a big way if another shooter gets added to the mix. Drew could land in the hospital all over again and face another fight to survive, depending on how bad his injuries are. Whatever the case, Drew is acting way too smug about getting everything he wants. It feels like the show's setting Drew up for a major downfall, so he could get another bullet or two pumped in him at some point. Even if Stella's clue doesn't result in another shooting, it was certainly fun watching her put Drew on full blast. Stella spoke for the audience in many ways, since most of us are fed up with Drew's awful behavior. General Hospital spoilers say Drew indeed deserves whatever shocking news is ahead of him, so stick with us for updates on whether Stella's comment will become a reality in the coming weeks. General Hospital spoilers reveal that drunk Britt Westbourne will spin out, so Jason Morgan will ride to the rescue. The week of December 15 will bring some exciting developments for Jason and Britt. So here's what GH fans can look forward to. Britt has been dealing with a lot lately, considering she watched Jen Sidwell shoot Professor Henry Hank Dalton right in front of her. Of course, Britt has also had to deal with all the Rocco Falconeri drama and remains concerned about the threat Sidwell poses. This is a dangerous mess, so it's easy to see why Britt will want to forget her troubles for a while. Britt is stuck continuing Cesar Faison's research in exchange for her medication doses, and now has to worry about Rocco on top of everything else. Plus, Britt's been battling some frustration over Jason never putting her first. Jason had to bail on an important conversation with Britt recently to handle the Dalton situation for Sonny Corinthos, but he's still hoping to gain her trust. Perhaps Jason will take a step toward making that happen with his upcoming move. On December 4th, Britt will decide to drink away her problems for the night. It sounds like Britt will make her way to Brown Dog Bar and throw back as much booze as it takes to make that happen. Jason will likely come along and see Britt in her drunken state. GH spoilers say Britt will get some support from Jason in the December 5th episode, so all signs point to him coming to her rescue. Jason may make sure Britt gets back to her room above Bobby's safely. From there, Jason may try to sober Britt up a bit and offer a sympathetic ear if she's ready to confide in him. Even if Britt isn't ready to open up about Faison's final project and all Sidwell's threats, she'll definitely grow closer to Jason. Britt might pull Jason into a kiss if the alcohol lowers her inhibitions and gets her to let her walls down. Regardless, General Hospital spoilers suggest Jason will get updates on Britt's drunk evening alone and do his best to help her cope. So stay tuned for more news on what the future holds. General Hospital viewers are dying to see some characters back in Port Charles. On our list of 7 are 3 women, 4 men, and a few of them are dead. But as you know, death is never an obstacle to a return on GH. These comebacks would really shake things up in Port Chuck. Let's get right to it. The first character I want to talk about is a young man who is dead, but mentioned fairly frequently, and is missed very much by his parents, Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer. We're talking about Morgan Stone Corinthos. Even though he died back in 2016 because of a car bomb meant for Julian Jerome, fans have repeatedly asked for his resurrection and return. We did catch a glimpse of Brian Craig in a couple of returns, once in a dream and once as a ghost when Sonny was suicidal a couple of years ago. Since Morgan's body was never found and Brian Craig said he would love to come back to GH, it's totally possible. I think fans would be overjoyed along with Carly and Sonny and his siblings Michael, Christina, and Jocelyn, who still talk about Morgan all the time, especially around the holidays. It would really shake things up for Ava, who of course had a romantic relationship with Morgan and was partially responsible for his death. Just a quick note, I got to interview Brian Craig right after he left General Hospital, and he was the nicest guy. So polite, kind of shy, just a real sweetheart. He really impressed me. Next up is a character who is very much alive but behind bars, Laura Spencer's other son, Nicholas Cassadine. He is a legacy offspring and a fan favorite. Of course, viewers will always miss Tyler Christopher, who originated the role and tragically passed in real life. Now we've got Adam Huss in the role, but we haven't seen him since last year when Lulu needed a liver donor. For a while, Nicholas was going dark, but he seemed to straighten out after he had been behind bars for a while. Plus, little Ace Cassadine needs his dad. Right now, Nicholas is serving time for holding awful Esme captive in a tower at Windermere while she was pregnant. But once Nicholas is out of prison, it would be great to see him back in Port Charles reunited with his son Ace, his mom Laura, and his sister Lulu. The third on our list is a woman who is alive, but she has been off-screen for quite a while. And that is Skye Chandler Quartermaine. She's Alan Quartermaine's daughter, and if you watched the other soaps, she was also on All My Children and One Life to Live. Skye has been in New York City since 2012, but she is still alive, and she could definitely return, especially with the Quartermaine family front and center right now with lots of drama. I think it'd be great for Skye to reconnect with her family. Plus, she is wicked fun. If you don't remember her in the past, she kidnapped Christina, she blackmailed Tracy, she drove drunk, and she attempted murder. She has ties to some big villains like Faith Roscoe, Anthony Zacchara, and Lorenzo Alcazar. Plus, Skye also had romantic ties to both Ned and Rick, who are both on the canvas, so that could be pretty interesting. Tracy would lose it if Skye returned, and it's always fun to see Tracy irritated. Skye could also come back and side with the other evil Q, Drew Kane. By the way, you're going to want to stick around till the very end, because the last one on our list is a huge one. Someone that fans are having fits to get back onto General Hospital. Number 4 on our list of characters fans would love back is mega villain Jerry Jacks. He is super wicked, but also super sexy. And I would love to have Sebastian Roche back to General Hospital. He is the big bad big brother of Jasper Jacks, making him Jocelyn's uncle. Jerry's list of crimes is absolutely legendary. He shot Robin Scorpio, faked her death, and then stashed her away. Jerry tried to kidnap Michael and Christina when they were little kids. He was partly to blame when Michael got shot in the head as a little kid. Jerry poisoned all of Port Charles's water supply, but he also made Alexis Davis swoon, and she could use a little excitement in her life. Jerry was a top-tier villain, and it would be wild to have him back, maybe even conspiring with the current big bad villain in Port Charles right now, Valentine Cassadine. Next on the list, number 5, is a she-villain who is supposedly dead and gone, but the way she died left plenty of room for a return. Can you imagine if Nell Benson came back? Michael thinks Willow's gone dark, but she's got nothing on her twin, Nell from hell. Willow loves Wiley and hates the very idea of her twin, but Nina would love to have a shot to get to know her other daughter. Of course, Nina felt like Carly cheated her out of that chance by keeping Nell's identity as her daughter a secret. And then Carly watched as Nell fell off a cliff into a river. While they did mention later that her body was found way downstream, we never saw it. That could have been a setup done by Dawn of Day members, the cult she married into, when Nell got hitched to wicked Shiloh Archer while they were both in prison. Our sixth returnee that we know fans would like to have back is one of the all-time most missed characters, and that's Spencer Cassadine. This character has been adored since he was a mischievous, precocious little kid played by Nicholas Bechtel. And then when they did the Saurus, aged-up recast with Nicholas Chavez, fans just really fell in love with him even more. It would honestly be great to have both Nicholas Cassadine and his son Spencer back. If you remember, his body was never found when he and evil Esme fell into the frigid waters of the River Seine back in France in early 2024. Spencer's been presumed dead, but there were hints even at the time that he supposedly drowned that he survived. Plus, with Trina visiting France fairly frequently, fans have been wondering if she might have been visiting Spencer. Now, I doubt Nicholas Chavez will come back, because he is very busy with other big projects, but they could always recast Spencer. Last but not least at all, number 7 on our list is the character that is most demanded to return to General Hospital, and that is Sam McCall. Fans have been irate since Cyrus Renauld murdered her last Halloween. Kelly's abrupt firing prompted a bunch of rumors about backstage politics that had reportedly been festering since Billy Miller got backburnered to make room for Steve Burton in not his most recent return from the dead with Jason, but the one before that. Viewers were absolutely infuriated that the powers that be fired Kelly and killed off Sam. They were protesting. They rented trucks to drive by. There was a Times Square billboard that was rented out to protest her death and Kelly's firing. I know if GH reversed things and brought Sam back, it would bring huge ratings. Maybe it'll happen one day. We'll see. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you!